Welcome back, everyone. Public speaking is a skill that many of us only think we need when we're standing in front of a crowd, but the truth is it's so much more than that.
Yeah, whether it's here having a tough conversation, speaking up in meetings, or advocating for ourselves, our next guest is here to help us conquer those vocal roadblocks that might be holding us back from our voice's full potential. Please welcome public speaking coach and our good friend, Jam Gamble, back to the show. Good to see you, Jam. All right, so you say that public speaking is much more than just giving a speech. It's about trusting your inner voice in everyday situations. Why is that an important first step?
Have you ever had a conversation during the day and then before bed replay it over and over and over again and lose hours of sleep? When you trust your voice, you don't do that. You go to bed. You said what you said during the day. You said what you said in the meeting. You set those boundaries, and then you go to bed. It's such a
nice feeling.
Right? It feels so good to just feel comfortable speaking up and not second-guessing yourself.
Totally.
And I would love for people to focus more on trusting their voice, owning it, and just loving the sound of it.
And you get that as you grow. Like, I feel like I was like that when I was younger, and now I'm like,
care less.
what
And
are
you start to care less. That's when you start to own your voice.
Love
Absolutely.
it. Okay, can you tell us what a vocal roadblock is, and how does it affect our confidence speaking up?
It's like a speed bump. Now, I might be an aggressive driver and kind of fly over speed bumps, but a vocal roadblock stops you in your tracks. It psychs you out. You're like, okay, I'm getting ready for this meeting. I'm getting ready to pitch myself. Can I do it? I have an accent. Do you know how many people I've worked with who speak with an accent? They think just because they have an accent that they cannot express themselves or people cannot resonate with their story. Your accent brings flavor to your work.
It makes you interesting.
It makes you interesting,
Totally.
right? Or imposter syndrome, or comparing yourself to other people. Like, here you are presented with this chance and you're like, that vocal roadblock tells you can't, when the minute you dismiss it, things are flowing.
Yeah, okay. So once you've identified that roadblock or that insecurity, what are tips to work through it?
I love to do a vocal audit. Like, I don't want to be audited. I know.
What's that?
Nobody wants to be financially audited, right? But a vocal audit is that when you encounter that vocal roadblock, you're like, oh, what's that feeling? A lot of us don't challenge the discomfort, right? We feel it in our gut, we feel it in our chest, but we don't challenge it. So with a vocal audit, you're like, wait a second. Why am I feeling this funk? Why am I feeling this self-doubt? Where is it coming from? And then when you get that vocal audit, you start to track it. How often does it show up? When does it tend to show up? Because then you get an advantage, like you're 2 steps ahead. You check yourself before you wreck yourself.
I love that. All right, so let's get specific. Okay, let's say you're gearing up for a big presentation at work.
Yes.
Right, and you've been doing the work and tracking your vocal roadblocks.
Yes.
What do you do with that information now? Now that you've identified them and you know you have this big thing coming up and it's stressing you out and you're losing sleep, how do you work through it?
You're 2 steps ahead now, Andrea. Okay, you did the vocal audit and you're like, wait a second, it's imposter syndrome that's getting in the head? What? Let me go on my LinkedIn. Let me go on my website. Let me go read my biography and see all the things I've accomplished before. I'm more prepared than I realized. And for a lot of us, especially women, imposter syndrome is our biggest vocal roadblock. And we're thinking, why me? Why not you? You got the job, you got the promotion, you were asked to do the presentation. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to give you an example and talk about authenticity, because I think that's so important when you speak, right? Andrew Garfield's recent press tour has sparked conversations around the idea of normalizing crying when you speak, right? We've heard him talk about grief and cry. Is that too much authenticity? What do you think?
I love it. I love it. I don't see an actor, I see a human. I see someone who is so in touch with themselves that when we cry, tears are an extension of our voice. It often says what we're struggling to say. We know that if we hold our bladder, you're gonna get a UTI. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
But if you hold in your tears, you're suppressing your emotions, you're not really being your authentic self. I am a proud card carrier of the Criers Club. I had a keynote, yes, thank you. I had a keynote last year. It's in front of all these sales executives, 180 people in the room, and somebody asked me in a Q&A, you seem like a really confident person. Have you ever lost your voice? And I was like, yeah, I went through a hate crime the year before, and I started to cry on the stage. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, I'm human. Like, why do we tell people that they cannot cry? If you feel overwhelmed with emotion, let it out. Do not carry the shame and allow people to hold space for you. So I love the fact that he, especially as a man,
I love
That's
it.
huge.
Yeah.
That is huge.
It is huge, and it's a much more complicated conversation because I think there's a difference when a man cries, sometimes
woman.
it's judgment.
Yeah,
Also
yeah.
for a woman, depending on the like corporate space that you're in, maybe those
Or
tears
who's
will
crying.
weaponize and who's crying
And when they're
you're
crying.
and why you're crying. It's a lot more. It's a bigger conversation.
Yeah,
But what
yeah.
are some other things that people might feel ashamed to do while they are speaking, and how do they work through that?
Saying and ah.
Oh.
I'm on team and too. The only person I have beef with is the prime minister when he ums and ahs. Sir, you should not be umming and ahhing. Get your thoughts together and spit it out. But for the rest of us, filler words, messing up. Oh my gosh, you made a mistake. Oh no. You really think people wake up in the morning and go, you made a mistake? And they're gonna remember it?
They forgot
They forgot
it.
about
They're not
it,
even
right?
thinking about
If
you.
you own it, no one cares.
Own it. Just
No.
bounce back. Like on this very couch, 2 years ago, I messed up twice on the social, and Mel had to elbow me like this, and she's like, you, camera 3. I was like, oh, camera 3. And guess what? I was invited back. They just never gave me a teleprompter.
Okay, so you trademarked this phrase, and I'm so curious to know what it means. It's who's your Kanye?
Yeah.
What is that?
I trademarked that.
Explain that one, Jam.
It's an
I
exercise to do with your clients.
It does. It does. So when I was thinking about like years ago, first of all, let's just rewind.
Okay.
Do you all remember 2009? T Swizzle was receiving yet another award. She was shocked about it. Kanye could have kept his mouth
This
shut.
moment.
This
He
iconic
went up
moment.
on stage.
We don't remember what
was the Kanye
Taylor
era.
Swift. We don't remember what Taylor Swift, but we remember what Kanye said in that moment.
Right.
So when I was thinking about why people struggle with owning their voice, it's not our fault. There are reasons behind it. So who's your Kanye? Who or what has made you feel that you cannot speak up, that you cannot set boundaries, that you cannot pitch yourself, that you cannot raise your hand? Who or what? Who's your Kanye?
Girl, we're going back to childhood trauma. That you
I
gotta
know,
take it to
I
your
know.
So you
Space.
kidding me? I'm like, that
It's a
goes
safe
way
space.
There's so many
Yeah.
Kanyes,
I got
right?
you.
Listen,
So-
within your family, there's
So
Kanyes.
many
Your mama
Kanyes.
could be your,
Your
own
mama's a
Kanye.
Kanye,
many
your
Kanyes.
dad's a Kanye, your
Your own-
teacher, your ex, your best friend, your
Yeah.
co-worker, your boss. There's
Boss, yeah.
Kanyes everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah, so many.
Everywhere.
All
Are
right.
and we
Get 'em
are
off the stage.
also, hold on, we also become our own Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
Because we start to replay what other people have said to us about our voice,
Yeah,
and then it
that's
starts
true.
to sound like us. So someone else's voice is living in our body rent-free. And then when you realize who your Kanye is, you evict them.
Yeah. Okay.
So true.
So before we let you go, what are some other simple ways that we can start building a more powerful voice?
Find opportunities every day to use your voice. If you go to a restaurant and your steak is not done right, send it back. Use your voice and send it back. Send voice notes. We all know that friend who sends voice notes for everything, right? But I'm that voice note, but it's a good opportunity to practice using your voice and hearing your voice back. Saying daily affirmations. Celebrating when you use your voice. Like, this is your ultimate superpower. Why waste it? Love it, trust it, use it every chance you get, and see how it'll grow from there.
All right, fantastic. Jam, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Great tips. I'm gonna reach for my inner Kanye
Yes.
right now and say, don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.